Hello class, I wanted to give you one last lecture for this unit on interviews. Um, what I'm going to talk about today is not universal. A lot of interviews are um, very different from each other. Like you'll have some that have presentations, especially if you're dealing with a more technical job. You'll have some that are very informal. You'll have some that are run by a team of a hiring committee. You have some that are just you one-on-one with an HR manager. So some of this will need to be adjusted depending on the job you're applying for. But I wanted to give you some overall advice, especially since I'm trying to give you guys, or this course is trying to give you all a packet of information to help you when you actually go on the job market. And the interview can, in many cases, be the most important thing that you do. So I don't want to leave that in the lurch. So we're going to take a look at some different do's and don'ts. You'll see a ton of advice out there on the internet. This kind of builds off of some of that, but also adds some stuff that you might not see out there. And we're also going to take a look at a comedic video, but one of the worst interviews ever seen. And so hopefully this will give you a sense of what not to do. So let's take a look at this. So first thing, how to prepare for an interview. We've already talked about it. Well, let me first start with you want to plan an outfit, and everybody knows this. As far as interviews, you want to look your best. If you haven't shaved in a couple days, make sure to shave. If you are pulling your suit out from the back of the closet, make sure it's cleaned and pressed. Or if you're putting together an outfit from a mishmash of things, make sure that looks good. I always, if I have an important meeting or an interview, will run things by my wife, but before that it was my friends. Just make sure that I wasn't overlooking something. Make sure your shoes are shined. Even ladies, make sure your shoes are not scuffed up. Um, make sure that you have appropriate jewelry on. And, you know, some people say it doesn't matter, but I would recommend if you have any tattoos or piercings that are not traditional, you might want to minimize them in some way, cover them up, or like with piercings, you can't really cover them up, but maybe tone down whatever you put in that piercing. Um, it's just some recommendations. So you want to choose an outfit that's appropriate to the corporate environment. So if you know that it's a more casual environment, then maybe just wear, I'm talking in terms of men's outfits, but the equivalent, just a shirt and a tie, more casual. If you're sure it's a environment in where people are wearing jeans and stuff like that. You want to be a little more formal than the environment in which you're applying to, but you don't want to show up in a full suit if everybody's walking around in flip-flops, because then that shows that you don't know the environment in which you would be entering. And we'll talk about it later on. It shows that you don't necessarily fit. Even if outside of that interview you would love to wear jeans to work or shorts or whatever, but if you show up and you don't show that knowledge of the company and the type of environment that you would be working in, then it can show a bad fit, which is in many ways the most important thing that they're looking for in an interview. As a rule, if you don't know, basic and conservative. Basic colors, conservative dress. And one thing that you can do is you can pick out a signature piece. So for men, that would be a tie that really pops. I hate that I use that word, but either way, a tie that's very memorable. Not something that has Looney Tunes on it or something like that, but something that looks good. And if they don't remember your name, if you meet someone in the halls, they'll still remember, oh, this is that guy that wore the blue tie or whatever. With women, it's much easier to have a signature piece because you can wear jewelry that is a little more identifying than a lot of ties. But, you want to do that. It's a stupid thing, and most people that you're interviewing with, they're going to remember you and your qualities and your your skills and that sort of thing. But having a signature piece or a signature part of your wardrobe is another way to keep you in their minds when they're making their final decisions about who to hire. Um, and of course, you don't want it to be something ridiculous and out of place with the office. So, for instance, if you are applying to a casual office, you don't want to wear, some diamond earrings, or you don't want to wear um, a very formal tie because it's going to not fit with the environment. So all of this needs to go together to create a good impression of who you are as a person if they just see you in passing. Because some people that are involved in the hiring decision might not actually be in the interview, and they might just meet you in passing or see you in the waiting room, and you want to make a good impression regardless. You've done some research to write your cover letter. You've done some research to kind of think about how to tailor your resume to that job. But if you get called in for an interview, especially an in-person interview and not a Skype interview, you want to make sure you've done more research, right? You want to spend a couple of hours, not just a couple of minutes, but a couple of hours delving into that company and trying to find out as much as you can about that. And if it's a large corporation, about the office that you're interviewing at. So if I'm applying to the corporate office in Decatur, Illinois, then I'm going to be looking at what goes on at that office, not at what's going on in the Chicago office or in the Atlanta office. So you want to learn more about the people you would work with or under. Okay, so do as much as you can without becoming a crazy Google stalker, and find out as much as you can about the people, if you can, their interests and that sort of thing, so you know where you fit and where you line up with them. You don't want to adopt a personality that's similar to them, but you want to know, okay, this is some things that we might have in common. Obviously, if you do happen to stumble across personal information, don't be stupid and blurt that stuff out. This is just to help you get a sense of how you can answer questions and that sort of thing, not to kind of reveal you've done the research. This is to help you answer questions, not to volunteer information that might be inappropriate. So there's a fine line with a lot of this stuff that you want to kind of walk, depending on the job and depending on the interviewer that you're dealing with. So I'm just trying to caution you, if you do dive deep into finding out about this, don't reveal that someone on Glassdoor said that that the interviewer has bad coffee breath, or don't even hint at it if you can. This all is common sense kind of stuff, but when your nerves are on edge and you're really hoping to get this job, some of that stuff can fall by the wayside. So I'm just reassuring you to kind of keep this stuff in mind. But you want to learn about the people, you want to learn about the corporate structure, you want to learn more about the responsibilities and duties of the position. So look into it more than what the job advertisement says. So if this person is usually working on projects like this, or if the former employee that's left or was fired, what were they working on? If you can find that sort of stuff out. If you know someone at the corporation, that definitely helps. But if you not, just look into the kinds of clients that they have and the types of stuff that you might do, even if you, based off the job description, even if you aren't sure if you would have that responsibility. All right. And then if it is a company that puts together an actual product, try that product. Do what you can to get your hands on it, unless it's like $1,000 piece of software or something like that. And test the service if it's a service-based organization or corporation. If possible. This is always if possible. If not, if they do corporate accounting and you're not a corporation, then you can't test out whether or not they know what they're doing with accounting. If they are an equine vet school or hospital, and you can't get, or an equine hospital, not equine vet hospital, that makes sense, and you can't get in there because you don't have a horse, then whatever, don't worry about it. And obviously, if it's a service, don't go there right before the interview, because that's going to seem fishy. Again, what to bring: you want extra resumes in case there's more than one person, or in case they can't find your resume. You want to be able to volunteer it right away. You want to bring copies of your reference list, regardless of if they're going to ask for it or if they've already asked for it. Again, just in case, you can hand it to them. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to reference your work history or your resume and the skills that you bring to the company. You don't want to make it that they have to pull it up. If you can, give it to them right away if they ask for it, or if they're like searching their email or whatever. If you have business cards, especially if you've worked in another in a job that's in a similar line of business, have that ready. I mean, this is not something that everybody has. I don't have business cards right now. A lot of people don't carry them anymore, but it's a good way to network with people in the office to, again, extend your the impression that you make on the company beyond just the person you're interviewing with. So if you're sitting there walking through the hallways and you're introduced to someone that you might work with, which often happens, this is someone, he leads the team for the position or whatever, then you can introduce yourself, hand your business card, and then they get a quick sense of who you are based off the type of business card you have and that sort of thing. If you don't have a business card, don't worry about it. What you can do instead is make sure that you have your phone fully charged, because then you can exchange information that way if the opportunity arises. All right. It's another way to kind of look like you're doing something. Let me start over. I also recommend having a fully charged phone because, as you'll see in the clip, you're often sitting around waiting for the interview to happen, and working on your phone, whether that's reading the internet on a smartphone or whatever, is a way to pass the time and not look like you're bored and not look like you are not interested in the job. It's a good way to pass the time without just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. Obviously, you don't want to get too invested because you want to pay attention to what's going on around you, but it's a way to look like you're busy while you wait. Don't, however, play any video games. Don't play Candy Crush or whatever's going on, because that's obvious. If you are playing a game on your phone, it's obvious to whoever's around. Bring a notepad in case you need to take notes. Don't take notes on your phone. Don't take notes on your iPad or whatever like that. Take notes with a notepad. Why? Because there's less chance of failure and less chance of you taking forever to tap something out. And you can use shorthand much easier with a notepad. Bring an emergency kit and leave it in your car of a change of clothes and toiletries and that sort of thing. I once was interviewed for a position in Chicago, and I drove up there to do the interview, and then I was staying with friends. But I drove up the day of the interview and interviewed in the afternoon. But on the trip, I spilled coffee on myself on the drive because I was driving from Louisville, not Lexington, but I was driving from Louisville to Chicago, and I spilled coffee on myself because it was a long trip, but I had dressed for the interview. So it was a good thing I had a spare change of shirt so that I could change into a different shirt that was still not my best outfit, but still a good outfit, and went to the interview without coffee all over me. So it's a good idea to have that. Toiletries just in case, especially if you're interviewing in the summer, the heat, you can get frazzled, that sort of thing. And then I also mentioned that some interviews ask for a presentation. Make sure you have hard copies of your slides or whatever, just in case the technology fails, just in case your USB gets lost in transit, or just in case the internet's not working, whatever. What not to do, and here I want to look at this video. This is just a short little thing of all the wrong moves to make when you're in an interview. Hopefully this will work. All right.
Mr. Schwartz, may I see you now?
One.
Okay. You all right?
I am now. That's it?
Yeah. Do you need water?
No, I'm excited.
The next one. No, not that one.
So you didn't get dinner sometime?
I don't think so.
No, maybe. You never know.
Okay, so she's right in here.
What's your name, by the way? What's your name?
Yeah, it's right in here. I cannot accept that. Wow, please do not touch.
Maybe dinner.
I don't think so.
You never know, right?
No.
Can I get your phone number?
No, you can't.
Please?
Nope.
No, it's probably 917 something.
Nope.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, hey, Ben.
Nice to meet you.
We're with Francis. Thanks for stopping by.
You know, elephants can feel grief.
No, I didn't know that.
It smells great in here.
So I have your resume.
Home run, right? Jose Canseco.
Princeton, that's impressive.
I know, I went there.
So what is Omnicore?
Omnicore, you brought that up. It's a company I work for just a tiny bit, just a small amount of time. Plus, over
Because you were there 10 years.
10 great years, and they were amazing.
Isn't Omnicore the name of the company from that movie RoboCop?
Have you seen RoboCop?
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
That I would see it or that? Oh, 3 years at Skynet?
Yes, that is something I don't mind talking about. I had a great time, great fun.
From the Terminator.
We watched a lot of movies.
What did you do there?
And we all, we made slap bracelets.
In 2003?
Yes, in 2003 we made slap bracelets.
So, according to all of these dates, then you started your professional career when you were 13.
Is that mathematically what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what it
right
is.
after my bar mitzvah then, we just jumped in.
This resume is fake.
It's not a fake resume. I'm happy you brought that up because I wanted to express it. It's not.
This interview is over.
Just don't think about the work stuff, right? Think of special skills. Something that sets me apart from someone else. Someone make me a great worker at this place.
The only thing you have under special skills is 20-inch dong.
Huge jump. What do you think?
No. Usually it says typing.
I can do that also.
It's impossible. No. What is that?
Just spell it to the left.
Get out of here. Out of my office!
Let's say I'm hired and see what happens.
No!
So obviously there are a lot of things that he was not necessarily doing well in that, but some things that he actually does do well is that he's being engaging and trying to work with the people, but he's not reading the room well. Other things he doesn't do well, he doesn't know his resume. Make sure you know what's on your resume. I mean, it goes without saying, don't lie on your resume. That's why there's that little reading bit about ethical treatment or how to be ethical when you put together a resume. Don't lie about it because they will look into it. That's one of the reasons you get called in for the interview is because of your resume. Other things to do, kind of read the room. If it's a kind of a more traditional office place, then maybe not a high five. Okay. Obviously don't try to tip or pay off the people that you're applying to, but other things like that. And one little thing that I want to mention at the beginning, I talked about the cell phones. You notice he was reading zoo books. That's highly inappropriate if you're applying for any sort of grown-up position, even if you're applying at a zoo. Why? Because zoo books is aimed at a younger audience. It's showing that you're not ready for the job, even if you are applying at a zoo. Other things, he mentioned the elephant. I mean, some places will recommend that you, bring in an interesting fact to start a conversation when you start an interview. That's not a bad idea, but it has to be a relevant fact. And that was I don't even know what the job was, but it had nothing to do with elephants. So, that sort of thing. There are a lot of things that you can pick up and point out in that interview as far as what he did wrong, special skills, lied on the resume, slap bracelets, and, that sort of stuff. But, I just want to point that out because it's funny to see how ridiculous he could be, but he's still fitting within what you usually do when you're in an interview. Okay. But again, he is confident, and that's not a bad thing. Okay. And he is adjusting to the questions being asked. Now he's answering them in completely inappropriate ways, but he's moving with the conversation instead of coming in prepared to speak about just this. Okay. So you want to be a little bit adaptable and you want to be confident. But other than that, don't take anything away from that video. I do want to mention a couple of things and then I'll let you guys go. Some things to keep in mind. Why are you being interviewed? It's not to question you about your resume. They ask you about your work experience and they ask you about this sort of stuff, but mainly there's an assumption that you didn't lie on your resume. So they are going to assume that what you said there is true, and that what you say in your cover letter is true, and they use that to determine whether you are appropriate for the job, whether you or not you have the qualifications to do that job. Okay, out of all of the resumes, they pick, or resumes and cover letters, they pick the top 5 to 10, depending on the company, um, interview or resumes and cover letters based off of whether or not they meet qualifications and where they rank on those qualifications. So you've already made it that far. You're already shown that you're qualified for the job. And out of those 5 to 10, they may do an initial Skype or online interview in which it'll be like these interviews. It'll be a major interview. So you want to prepare for it like this, but that's when they usually have a larger pool. They have like 10 people, 10, maybe even 15 people that they're interviewing through Skype, and they do this or other online means. And they do this as a way to kind of narrow it down even further. So the job, they know you're qualified for the job. So what I'm getting at here is the interview is basically to fit 2 things, or to figure out 2 to 3 things. Whether or not you fit with the company, okay? You fit with the people that you're working with, all right? And then your interest and ambition, okay? These are things that it's harder for them to figure out based off of the genre of the cover letter and based off of the resume. It's harder for them to figure this sort of stuff out. They can talk to your references if they want to find out more about your job performance in the past. They can find out about different things like that. But in an interview, they want to figure out whether or not your personality and your work style fit with what the company does, and they want to figure out how interested you are in the job. Okay, if you're just treating this like a stopover, that you're just doing it for a couple years and then you're going to go on to do something else, they want to know, because they're investing time and money in you to train you and to pay you for this job. And if you aren't invested in the job, then they don't want to hire you. They'd rather hire someone that is invested. Okay, so this is why they bring you in primarily. I mean, some of it does come down to qualifications. Again, they want to kind of figure out where you are compared to the other interviewees, but most of it has to do with these 3 things. So when it comes to fit, what does fit really mean? I mean, you often hear this, like, this person fits the job, or this person just fits better than this person, okay? And often you'll find that if you don't get a position, they'll tell you that there are just too many qualified candidates. Well, that's a way to say that someone else was more qualified. But if you fit all the qualifications, what does that mean exactly? That usually it means that you don't fit. All right. And, it's not a knock against you, because sometimes it's a good thing that you don't fit that environment for you. So, this is just a way to look at it. So this is what some actual hiring managers have said about what fit means. Fit, it's not about how similar you are to your interviewer, so you don't want to mimic the interviewer. Fit is about having a unique perspective that enhances the team while also proving you get along with the team. Okay, so this hiring manager is obviously going to introduce you to the team as part of the interview to see how you get along with them. Okay, and again, best behavior and that sort of stuff when you're being introduced to the team. This is also a good reason to have business cards, or to try to make contact with, or to try to build a connection with these people when you're introduced to them. Fit is all else being equal. Fit is someone who would make a seamless transition into the department from day one. So they're ready to do the job, but they also are ready to work with these people. Okay, fit is the person I would be most excited to have walk into the office the next day. All right, or it's finding someone that I'll want to go have a beer or a glass of wine with outside the office because they keep me interested. And that's part of this, is that if you fit with an office, you're going to do well to socialize with them. And this is really important in a lot of atmospheres, because you're working on a lot of collaborative projects or working together with these people closely. So you want to make sure that you fit with them and work well with them. And that's what they're trying to figure out with this interview, is they're trying to figure out whether or not you work well with these people. All right. You also want to figure out whether you fit with the office. Now, a lot of this should be done beforehand, because you're doing research into the companies to know whether or not you should apply there. But some of it comes down to the interview as well. And while a lot of people will be looking for the one job. Sometimes you're interviewing at a couple of places and you want to find the place that works best for you. All right. So if you are to determine your own fit, you want to get to know the people who interviewing you. Okay. Engage in the small talk. Don't avoid it, because you can find out, if you didn't find out beforehand in your research, whether or not someone has similar interests to you. If you have something to talk about with that person, it could be as stupid as sports, Oh, I'm talking about UK basketball because these people love UK basketball, or they like U of L basketball, but I could talk with them about that over and over again, because um, that's something. Small talk can help build connections, even if it seems like it's trivial. So even if you're nervous, don't avoid small talk. Right? Engage with the conversation. And then another thing to do is, as people file past, as you're waiting for your interview, try to assess whether they're people you would want to hang out with. Take a look at them, see if they are your kind of people. Okay, is basically what it comes down to. And I haven't said it yet, but make sure that you are at least 15 minutes early to an interview. It's like an important doctor's appointment. You're going to make sure you're there early. With an interview, make sure you're there early. I haven't said that yet. I need to mention that. While you're determining your own fit, you want to look into the corporate culture. Do you prefer to work in teams or on your own? That's something you need to know, because the corporate organization is going to either have self-driven individual projects, or it's going to have collaborative work. Okay, which do you prefer, especially in your field? You want to think about that. Do you prefer to specialize in one specific thing, or do you prefer to generalize? So, for instance, in our individual short reports, which we'll get into when you turn in your job search documents, you're going to specialize. You're going to learn all you can about a specific topic. You're not going to generalize and work together constantly. You're going to work on one thing and then come together and put all that specialized knowledge together into the marketing plan. Okay. What kind of management do you work best with? Do you prefer someone that's a little more hands-on? I mean, some of that can be called micromanaging, and if you prefer to refer to it as micromanaging, then you probably don't like it. Myself, I prefer to work with a manager that is more in touch with me than hands-off. I prefer a manager that talks with me on a regular basis about what I'm doing. Maybe not directing me into doing what I need to do, but is checking in on a regular basis. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That just keeps me accountable, and I work best when I'm kept accountable. So, there's that sort of thing. So knowing that about yourself and trying to figure out if the corporate culture kind of aligns with that, you are trying to figure out if you fit with that company. Okay. Are you more productive in a casual or traditional office environment? If you when you are more casual in your encounter with someone, does that mean you're more likely to be to procrastinate and just dither away the day, or is the traditional atmosphere or traditional formal relationship, does that mean you're more stilted and less likely to get stuff done? Thinking that way can help you understand your place in an environment. And then the other thing about this is you want to show interest and ambition. And the best way to do that is to ask questions. And here I've linked, and you can access this PowerPoint online on Canvas. I've linked to a list of 51 questions that you should ask, or rather questions that you should find the answer to while you're interviewing. And this is a way to understand the company. It's a way to understand your place in the company. It's a way to understand the people you would be working with. Okay. But basically, all of these questions come down to these kind of 3 points. They should be based on research that you have done. So you're trying to ask questions about the position, ask questions about the company, not critical questions that you're trying to find fault, but questions where you're trying to find an answer that'll help you understand the position better. Okay. Why do you want to do this? Because then you can answer their questions in a more productive way. You can talk about it in specifics. You can talk about how you would fill those responsibilities in specifics, because you know specifically what they're trying to find out if you can do. As far as the corporate structure, you want to find out where you would report and what department you would be working in and that sort of thing. Why? Because you can show how your interest in that department exceeds beyond your work experience or whatever. So you want to do the research and then ask questions that help you understand stuff you weren't able to find out in the research. Okay, not the tiny little details, but big things that you want to know more about, so you can answer their questions in a better way. Or and then honestly, so that you can show interest. And if it's based off of research, you've already shown interest because you've looked into the company. So you can say, like, I saw on the website that the company's mission statement is this. How exactly is that implemented in this office? Or how does my job fit into the overall corporate goals? All right, and those type of things can help you see how the researcher knows the job, and then you can say, well, this is how I can see myself fitting that or doing that. Okay, and then you're showing how you fit with the company if you see how this all works together. They should reflect your understanding of the company or the product, and again, test out the product, see how it works. All right, ask about possibilities for advancement that are tied to the position. When you want to show that you're ambitious, you don't want to be like, oh, how long till I get this next promotion? You want to ask, well, what routes of advancement, or what opportunities for advancement do I have? And there's the key term, opportunities. You want to focus on that, the opportunities, not the possibility or not the timetable, but what opportunities for advancement do they have? Because that shows ambition, that shows your willingness to enact those opportunities, not just looking for the best way out. Okay. And then the other side of this is showing interest is you want to engage and expound on the open-ended questions asked of you. You want to still be professional communication oriented. So that means you attitude, that means succinct and precise, but you don't want to avoid giving a more complete answer. So don't just say, if they say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Don't just say married and in a better position. Okay, that seems obvious, but you want to kind of develop your answers, which is why it's a good idea to think about what questions you might be asked and kind of rehearse a question or an answer, or rehearse an answer as a way to prepare yourself to be more enthusiastic about your answer. All right. So you want to avoid simple explanations for your 5-year plan. I already talked about that. So if they say, what's your, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? You can say, you can show your understanding of the corporate culture to say, well, I see myself kind of working in this department. Or you can show, how your interests can correspond to their client list or whatever based off of the questions you've been asking, and just develop this 5-year plan a little bit more in depth. Kind of have a skeleton idea of what's going on, and then be precise in your answers. And one thing that I would recommend, and that your reading recommends, is always base this off of your past experience or your understanding of the company. Tie it to specifics, because if you kind of go on and on about, oh, I see myself doing this and this and this, it doesn't help you as an interviewee, because it makes you seem like you are kind of flighty. So if you can tie it to specifics, or tie your answers to what you've done in the past, then, or what you've learned in school as well, then you are in a much better position than someone that's going to go on and on about their hopes and dreams. Okay. You want to show thoughtful, nuanced explanations of your strengths. So, for instance, if I'm asked, and this question is still asked all the time, what's your greatest weakness or what's your greatest strength? Then you don't want to just say, oh, I'm organized. You want to say you're organized, and this is why it's useful for this job. Okay, or your greatest weakness might be that you don't like to confront people that are, doing something wrong. Well, then you show how you can improve on that weakness or minimize that weakness in the job. Okay, so if it's a managerial job, then you have to show how you plan to avoid that weakness in the management position that you would apply for. But if it's a non-management job, then you show how you still will show people that they can improve in a cooperative way. Okay, so you want to show nuanced explanations that would allow you to fulfill the position's responsibilities. Always, again, tied to the position, tied to the company, tied to your work experience. So if I should say that I have organized and that's a strength, I'm going to show why that's good for the position. I'm also going to show why or where that can be seen in my work experience. So where organization has really helped me out. Okay. And then talk for as long as you can while still being specific and precise. Still being specific, tied to specific former jobs or whatever, and very precise in your explanation. Okay. If you find yourself kind of going on a flight of fancy, either bring it back to specifics or bring that conversation to a close. And then obviously read the room. If they think you're going on too long, you can usually tell. Or if they think that you haven't talked enough, look for that in the way that the interviewer is responding to your answer, and kind of judge whether or not you should keep going or not. Okay. Just last thing, I want to give you a couple of resources that you can turn to help you prepare for an interview. The Muse is a nice resource for some fluff articles, but some useful articles on the job application and interview process. Okay, that's where I got those 51 interview questions that I linked to earlier, and a couple of other things. The Glassdoor I've already mentioned, but I wanted to mention again. It's a good resource for understanding corporate culture, because you get a sense from former employees or current employees. It's an anonymous website that gives employees a chance to review the company, more or less. And then the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, one of the hardest questions that I could be asked in an interview was always, or is always, salary based. I don't know. I don't know what would be an appropriate answer without kind of asking for too much or asking for too little. I'm always confused or concerned that I'm, as far as that goes. And then there are also like field specific questions that I would like a little more information on. The Occupational Outlook Handbook does a good job of doing this. They give average salaries for each position. They do a good job of kind of giving an overview of what the jobs in that field entail and that sort of thing. It's not great for the specific position that you're applying for, but it is good for knowing the field. And so the Occupational Outlook Handbook doesn't have every occupation in there, but is put together by the Federal Department of Labor, and it's kind of an overview. And so you can usually find where the position you're applying for can fit into that. And you can kind of get some basic average stuff that goes on, and it's constantly updated, so you can find pretty up-to-date information in there. If you have any questions about the interview process, or you're preparing for an interview, please let me know. I'm happy to help out as much as I can. As you can see through this lecture, I've kind of had to keep it very generalized, because an academic job search or an internship job search or an internship search is going to be very different. And then, if I'm applying for a job in corporate America with in sales, that's going to be very different from a job that as a vet tech. It's going to be very specific to the position and to the corporate atmosphere in which you're applying. But I'm trying to give you kind of overview, and I hope this has helped. Take care, and good luck finishing up the job search documents. Let me know if I can help. All right. Have a good day.